Right, we're on. It's good to be back, ain't it?
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, and we're joined by our guest, Ceri.
Yeah, nice to be here. Like I say, it's, as you said earlier, been a long time coming, this podcast.
Yeah.
You spoke, was it Tubes you did originally?
We're going to get Tubes on,
okay.
actually, originally, yeah. Is that how you heard
so,
about
yeah,
us?
I saw him repost something what you guys did, and started following you and stuff.
Yeah, we've sort of been following each other on Instagram, haven't we, for a little while. We've seen all the work you've been doing. It's amazing, mate. So yeah, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story.
Right. The house.
But hopefully, it will. Getting your story out there, obviously, it will help people.
So
yeah,
definitely.
help people in similar circumstances who are going through it now or potentially in the future and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Even if it helps one person, we feel like we've done our job and all that. Yeah. So we've followed your story, like we say, on Instagram. With your story on grief on Hugh. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. So just to go back right to the start, Hugh, my eldest son, was turned 5 2020. He was diagnosed with a rare soft tissue cancer in half-term October 2020. He underwent 6 months of intensive chemotherapy. The cancer was called rhabdomyosarcoma, which is said is about a 1 in 60 million chance of him having, so it's ultra rare. And then finished the 6-month treatment. He rang the bell May 23rd in Addenbrooke's, underwent radiotherapy, had 16 sessions there from his torso, completely blasted him, and we thought we were winning. And then he went back to school for 6 weeks in July, which was the aim for him all the way to go back to school. Mm-hmm. And then we got to his birthday, August the 30th, and he started to feel unwell, went off his food again, and, we just thought it was an accumulation of all the chemotherapies and stuff that he'd been through, and it's a lot of stuff. He lost quite a bit of weight, but that was like par for the course for what he was having. Yeah. And he made his 6th birthday. He had his friend over, his best friend, on the 29th of August, which was the first time really that his friends came around, because we went through it all during COVID, so we isolated ourselves, which was a blessing in disguise, really, because obviously everyone was washing their hands and wearing masks, so the risk of infection for him was quite low. Yeah. So, which was nice, and also the other side is that we isolated ourselves as a family, and we didn't want anyone come in the house. Yeah. So everyone had to stay in the garden. So people didn't really see as much of him as they should have done during that time. But the aim was to get him through it and then to get his life back on track again. Yeah, of course. Anyhow, so he made his 6th birthday, and he wasn't eating his cake, which we normally would, and he chose it. And then, unfortunately, 8 days later, we went back into hospital and he relapsed. We were told that was it for Hugh, and 10 days after that, on the 18th of September, Hugh passed away, age 6, so 18 days after his 6th, or 19 days after his 6th birthday. And like I say, left a massive hole, as grief does. You never expect to be burying your child, especially your first one, or any child really. And after that, my wife and I sat out, and we wanted to change the way that parents were supported during the whole treatment of a child with cancer, because we experienced it, and no one can tell you how you experience it more than someone who goes through it. And our experiences were one that we felt completely unsupported and anything that to do with us. And quite rightly, the medical staff look after the child, but there's a lot of people in that hospital, psychologists, counsellors, nutritionists, dietitians, all for the children, but they never turn around and ask how we're doing as parents. Yeah. And then to sum it up, what really set us off and set the fire, the burning inside of us, and why we needed to do something, was because after Hugh passed away, I needed some help with PTSD and things, and my wife was dealing with it in her way, and that's the thing with relationships, you each at different places of how to deal with things, so there's no right or wrong way, and sometimes I'm quite 100 miles an hour, she's a bit slower with that stuff, and she's more, takes her time with it.
There's no handbook on how to sort of deal with it.
No, definitely not.
You don't know how you're going to deal with it.
And it can cause relationship issues or any family issues, because you
definitely
might see someone doing something different that you don't agree with. And some people might be in denial, and some people there's all the 7 stages of grief that you go through.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyhow, I reached out for help, and I had to support her, my youngest son, Rafe. We had to tell him that his brother wasn't coming home. He didn't understand. There was no one telling us how to say. That's not the sort of thing you expect to tell your son.
No, that must have been.
Older brother's not coming home. So
that must have been so hard, mate.
What is the age difference between?
Hugh was hang on, I think 3 years difference, just under 3 years difference. So Rafe was aware of what was going on, but to be fair, Hugh wasn't really aware of what was the gravity of what he had. We kept it from him, and that's the thing that my wife and I did well through it. Is we kept all the the nuts and gritty detail about the cancer and things to hear away from him. And basically it was, anytime he said, oh, what is this that I've got? I just said, like, mate, you're on some medicines, it's going to go. Don't worry, we'll get back on your life. We'll go to Disney World when it's all finished and you'll be fine. We knew the ins and outs, what we had to sign as parents, the documents, the risks, the later life stuff that you had to look forward to. But my view on it was always, well, 30 years, 40 years, I might not be around anyway. So I'll deal with it now and then we'll get him through it. But, so I needed to get some help to support everyone else, my family, her family, his friends, his peers, his parents, his friends' parents. And I reached out to several charities. The NHS is a huge waiting list for grief and counselling, as you guys were saying earlier. And I think average wait time at the moment on the NHS is 100 to 120 days for mental support, which is strange when all the adverts on TV are saying speak to us, but there's no one there to speak to.
Could you speak to any of your mates or anything like that? Or
I found it very hard. One of the things that I found is when I was going through it with you, for example, in the hospitals, a very female orientated, charity driven service that you get, because the majority of the time the caregivers in the hospital are the mothers. So in that situation, it tends to be that the mothers give up work to support the child and the fathers go out and work. So you tend to find in that situation that the research shows that fathers get more mental health problems within the first year of a child having an illness because of the time away from the child in hospital, and also the sort of your ships passing in the night with your wife. So you have that relationship issue, but you get to talk about it. Well, I think talking is the only way through it. But there is no support as per from the hospital for us, and that's why when we go back to it, so we set the charity up. But a young lad phoned me up once from a charity, I won't name the charity, he phoned me up, I said, oh, your wife said you might need to speak to someone. I said, all right then. So he said, do you want to speak to him? I said, can I ask you a question? He said, have you got children? He went, no. I said, well, let's just end the conversation now. I said, how can you're not on the same parallel as me. You haven't, and this is
how can you ever relate to me? Do you know what I mean?
You've never held your own child in your arms before, so you don't know the love and the pain that I'm feeling.
Of course, mate,
And secondly, you don't understand the anxiety that I have having a child with cancer, and the uncertainty that I have. So let's just end the conversation now. And I found it really hard to talk to my friends because, you know, whenever you're going through something, whether it's your dad or your mum or your grandparents, people say, these go-to cliche phrases that they go to, oh, keep going and everything's going to be all right, and, you know, trust the doctor. But you don't want to hear that. And then when the parents, unfortunately, when someone does die, they go, oh, he's in a better place now. No, the best place is next to his dad. And that's the best fucking place. Not in heaven or wherever he is. You know, they're not in a better place. They're not in a fucking better place.
No, definitely
That's
not.
next to me. You know what I mean? I can give them a better place. So that sort of stuff annoyed me when people used to say so. And as I say, the beauty of it in that sense is that we went through it during COVID. So we didn't have to talk to people.
Sort of, keep yourself
to
yourself.
So I hid away and I come off social media because my first world problem was my son losing his hair. And their first world problem was some child.
You don't want to see all that.
And then you listen to LBC and like I say, everything's relative. I'm not one to discourage anyone else's problems, but when someone's talking about, I can't see my boyfriend, I've COVID, I miss them. Like, mate, I'm in hospital seeing kids with no legs and with bald heads, going through the hardest time of their lives. And so it's all relative. So we come off all that. And when you speak to your friends, they didn't quite understand where you're coming from or the stress and pain that you feel. And also, they've got young children, and I didn't want to burden them with what I've seen.
That just shows how nice you are, no?
But it's, you can hurt people.
We've said this before on one of our podcasts. It's an awkward one because I think people feel like they don't want to maybe talk to you about it because they don't want to say the wrong thing or upset you. And also, you don't know if you want to talk to them because you don't know if you're going to put them in an awkward position. Do you know what I mean? But
it's finding the balance, trying to find the right people.
I always found if someone just says, look, we've had a few people, obviously with the charity we speak to, and unfortunately some of the parents have lost a child, and some of their friends have asked us, what do I say to them? I just said, just send them a message, so I'm here for you. That is it. Don't say anything else. Give them time, give them space, and don't push them to do it. And if they want to come to you, that's it. It's one of life's things. You can't control what anyone else does. So if they want to come to you, they'll come to you. Just say, I'm here for you if you need anything, and leave it as that. And if they want something, they'll come to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Going back a little bit, mate, what was that sort of, you obviously do remember it, but that first sort of feeling when you found out that Hugh had cancer?
You jump straight to the point of, that's it, he's dead. That's the first initial feeling. So on that, as I said to you, we spoke before, I said my wife was in hospital with him because of COVID, so she had to deal with all the bad news firsthand.
Yeah.
Which I kind of feel really sorry for her because she has to deal with that firsthand. Yeah. And then you wanted to just help and support her, but I'm anxious ridden with that point, so I can't talk to doctors. Never been able to talk to doctors anyway.
No.
I'm always worried what they're going to say, and you don't really go to a doctor for good news. No. There's always some element wrong. But shows I quickly put on a front to say that everything's going to be all right, we're going to fight this.
Yeah.
And then the first instance when I saw him, I felt better when I saw Hugh. So when I saw him and he was all right, you know, it's so if you're with someone, they're talking to you, you can actually see that they're all right.
Yeah.
But it's when the distance.
Yeah, you're overthinking it.
You're overthinking. Your mind's wanting to go, oh, fuck, what's he doing now? But when I'm sat next to him, that's what I like being in hospital with him. That sounds a bit strange, but I prefer to go in with his chemo's to see him and make sure he's all right.
Because if you go away, that's all you're
I'm panicking, and then your wife might misconstrue, or something might misconstrue a sentence, and then you're like, what's he said? Why has he said that? And then you end up doing your wife's head in, or your friend's head in, or whatever it is, because you're asking questions all the time. But I was silly. I was devastated. You go cold with cold. I remember as a word, and just like your world just crumbled. Because you never think. Well, the first words my wife said to me was, "You always think it's someone else. It's never you." And obviously that's the name of our charity. It's never you. And you hear about it in papers, and all of a sudden, someone said this to me. You are the story that was in the papers. Like you read about children getting cancer, and you think, what's all that? You see all these people raising money on the street for children with cancer, sick children. You think, that's never going to be me.
Yeah, it's mad how you do really do think it's never going to be you.
You think you think you're sort of invincible. Yeah, you breeze through life without issues and problems.
We've said the exact same when we said about our dad and that. We looked at him like he was invincible. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy.
We do have the tendency to look at people and think, and that's the unfortunate thing about life, is that it's only until the last day you realise that people aren't invincible, and you take it all for granted. Yeah,
definitely. And then it's something like this that sort of brings you back down to earth. And like,
I think anything comes with immortality, of question of your own mortality. You're anyone that you know, I think, because all of a sudden, I say with grief, jumping a bit, is that all of a sudden someone's in your life and then someone's out your life, and you can't really put two and two together. Why all of a sudden someone had so much energy, and not say like your dad, you're saying there's so much energy, all of a sudden it's not got any. And how can that? And I look at videos of Hugh jumping around the room with keys.
I was going to say, I watched one of your videos of Hugh dancing, and he'd lost his hair.
That was 3 months into the most strongest chemo you can ever have, and they just run it, and I'm like. And that's what, do you know, that's the hurt bit about it all. You think, how can someone with so much energy and with so much to live for, and a 5-year-old should be running around outside, just be taken down by? I don't really get it. But
what was your mindset at that point? When
I got diagnosed?
Yeah.
We put on I'm always quite a positive person. I never let it. All of a sudden I said to my wife, this is what we're going to do. She was good, to be fair. She's hard.
You seem it as well, to be fair, mate. Just for the brief, hour that we've known you, even though you've been through what you've been through, you've seemed like a really positive person.
Well, my issue, I've been through things with my family before. Like I said to you, so my dad was on a life support for 6 weeks, and then, like I said, my mum had breast cancer, and thankfully they're both all right now. But it builds resilience up. So, and also it's for me, my own view on it is what are you going to achieve by breaking? There's a time to break and do it in I'm not the stiff upper lip stuff, but there's a time to break and there's a time to be strong.
Okay, she didn't want to break in front of you as well.
And the first thing I thought of, if I was a 5-year-old boy, what would I want? With all these wires and things hanging out of me in a hospital, bright lights looking at me, what would you want? You want your dad and your mum.
You want your dad being strong and being like, it's going to be all right.
So I said to my wife, look, the thing that we do is we never say anything to him, and all we're going to tell him is going to be all right. So don't even batter. If you start crying, get out of the room. I said, I said, get out of the room. And I said it to my mum, I said it to all of us. I said, if you start crying, out the room. Don't show any fear towards him. And I said to him, he doesn't know. And said fear is learned in that respect, because as adults, we all know about fear. We all know what certain words, cancer, it sends shudders up us because we've all been affected by it.
But at 5 years old, you don't
understand it, and fear is learned. He doesn't understand what that is. To him, and the beauty of he doesn't understand what the medicines are. He doesn't understand what. I mean, we used to frame like radiotherapy, for example, like a laser zapping your body, and smoke's going to come out your ears, and that was the way we termed it. But my mindset at that point was, right, this is the task that we've got. this is the plan they've given us. That's the first thing I wanted. Is there a plan? Right, we've got a plan. The plan is we're going to stick to the plan and see where it takes us. It's worked this stuff before. It's going to try and work now. I don't care if he's got 5, 10, 15, I think 30% chance of survival was what they gave him at the time. I said, I actually didn't know that. I thought it about 5%. So I was living on the basis that he had 5% chance of survival. And my wife only told me after he passed away that he had 30%. So I was like, wow. I said, I would have taken those odds at the time.
The thing is, you probably did hear it, but there was so much going on, and you hear so much. I used
to read the documents that come home. I threw them straight in the bin.
Yeah.
And they send all these reports home, like bin. I don't want to read that. I don't want to read what he's got. I don't want to Google it.
Yeah.
So I said, right, we're going to stick to the plan. I don't want to hear anything else. And when I used to speak to the doctors, ignorant or not, people might think, but I said, don't tell me anything. I said, that's the plan. I said, is it off plan? No. Right, well, we're sticking to it then.
Yeah.
So
it's a really positive way to be.
Well, yeah, or a stupid way to be. Because but I was of the quite a thing is to Hugh was like, right, we don't talk. I said to the doc, don't talk about it in front of him. I said, make sure he knows nothing about it or any gravity about it. We used to turn every cancer advert off on the radio. You know, you get all these cancer adverts now, and so if you haven't been to the toilet for 3 weeks or something, you've got to be careful and stuff like that. So I made sure that everything's off. So turn it all off, turn the adverts down. And then that was also for my own sanity.
How are you with that now? If you hear like an advert like that, are you okay?
To be fair, I'm immune to it because I work in that world now with the charity.
Yeah.
I could probably tell you every symptom under the sun for children's cancer.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're exposed to cancer, you realise that it does affect everyone at some point. Will know or be affected by it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So can't get your life through it. You're going to be, but it's only when it comes close to home that it starts to really hit home. So we went on it, and then when he was in hospital, to Hugh, I remember 5 weeks into his chemo, they started chemo on Halloween. He got diagnosed on the 23rd, and within 7 days he started chemo. So it's like a big, he went downhill quite rapidly. So I put him on oxygen. He said, well, we're going to start chemo tonight. And then I remember about a week after that, my wife and I were doing 5 days at a time in hospital because of COVID. So we couldn't be in there together. So we were doing 5 days, and I was doing 5 days, and then we'd never really speak to each other. And we were there for like 6.
That's tough on
it
its
was
own,
tough,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And the only time we talked was when we were out in the car park for 5 minutes when the play nurses was washing him. And then I'd walk in, and 5 days is a long time to watch someone deteriorate under cancer treatment.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the chemotherapy, especially a 5-year-old, like he went from looking all right to looking like really, really ill. Yeah. And I remember going in saying, wow, Jesus, what was happening here? And it was the same as when you walked into that cancer ward. It's quite humbling experience. If anyone wants an eye opener as to what life is about,
it's a big reality check, isn't it?
Yeah, and you see children seriously ill in hospital. That is an eye opener that actually life ain't that bad.
Yeah, if you're having a bad day,
and that's where I think like putting footballers in those situations to realise you've got it good.
Yeah.
Don't moan and whine about your thing, but like I say, everything's relative. But
it is, yeah. But it's one of them, innit? Like even ourselves, I don't know about yourself, but you like even now and again you have like a bad day and you think, oh, for God's sake, like. But then hearing stuff like that, you go like, actually, like it's nothing compared to what some people are going through, like what we went through before or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
When you talk about things like that, I actually think, and I hate to say this, and we said about what it does to you, and I wouldn't say anything in case any parents are listening. But at that point, Hugh was ill in the last couple of weeks of his life, and you know, you said about your dad and things, and I actually think as a parent, I don't think I would have coped with the anxiety all my life of worrying about it coming back.
Yeah,
I don't know how I would have dealt with that, and I know it sounds really sad for Hugh as well to be of an age where he understood it. I don't know how I would have dealt with him being 12 years old, asking me the question, am I going to die?
Yeah,
I don't know how I would have dealt with that.
Well, that's an honest, honestly, mate. Yeah,
and I don't know how to dealt with that, and I feel for the parents. I'm jealous of the parents that have their children next to them now, because I would change that all day of the week, every day of the week. But I don't envy their anxiety and their fear. I've got one thing to deal with, which is grief.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've got lots of anxiety about my child gets a cold and panicking all the time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Are you quite panicky now?
Yeah, but then I struggle with it. But I'd bring Hugh back any time that I could. I'd swap with him any time I could. But I don't know if I'm in a better. It's hard. You know what? It's really difficult to say, because you think, could I have gone through all that anxiety all my life? It would have aged me. Yeah, and it probably would have killed me early.
Yeah. And
so,
you would have
and
been
then he would
worried.
have been on his own. My fear would he would have been on his own, facing all that on his own.
Yeah.
When,
but do you know what, mate? You're probably not the only one that has ever thought like that, and you've probably experienced that from and you know that from doing your charity and talking to other parents.
I see parents going through it, and I just feel sorry for them. And I mean, I was that parent, and like I can see tears in their eyes welling up, like just because of the stress of it all. And it is like I can't explain to you. It's relentless. You can't do anything. You can't plan. You can't go out. You don't know what one day to the next is. And that's why we set the charity up, was to help them. But as you say, like going back to the framing with Hugh, is that when he was in hospital, and one day we used to see the change in him. One of the days I remember him just sitting in bed. And he got into his mindset. I can't walk. I can't do anything like that. And I was like, what? You can do that. So where he was sat in bed, there was a toilet about 3 meters away from his bed, and he couldn't walk to the toilet. And that's a 5-year-old. And I was like, whoa, like something. This isn't like Hugh anyway. He was on chemo, and it has started already, the chemo. It was the strongest stuff you could have. So I said to him, like, you're going to walk to that toilet by the end of this week. Whether you like it or not, you're walking to that toilet. I'm not having it. You're walking to that toilet. So he said, no, I'm not, Daddy. I'm not doing it. I said, I can't. I'm in too much pain. I said, I don't care. You're doing it. I said, you're not in pain. You're fine. The doctor said you can do it. So I got him up every day. We walked a little bit further. And then I got him to the toilet one day. And I was like, right, so I told you could do it. And actually a day before we were supposed to do it, he's like, right, okay. So I tried to install this mental attitude to him that there's no, you can do everything. There's none of this rubbish.
What a strong little boy, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. None of this bollocks that you're not going to sit there and take it. You're going to get up and you're going to fucking walk.
Yeah.
And whether people think I'm strong or horrible for that, I don't care. But it's a positive frame of mind. I wasn't going to let him sit in bed and just feel sorry for himself. Anyway, so I got him out and I said, set him a target. I said, that is the end of I said, your bed is here and you're going to walk to the nurse's mess by so-and-so. And the nurses went, and I remember chatting to nurses, I've told him he's going to walk to there by that. And if he does that, I'm going to buy him a Lego. He said, oh, I can't do it. I said, yes, you can. So I remember one day I got him up and I was chatting to my missus on the phone. I texted him, I said, look, I'm going to get him to walk to there. She went, oh, don't push him. I said, no, he's doing it. I said, he can do it. So anyway, he got him up and he walked to the thing and all the nurses were cheering him.
I bet his little face.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I was in tears.
Yeah.
It wells me up now thinking about it. But just I made
what a like memory to have though.
Yeah,
as well,
but I made him do it and I thought, you know what a trooper. And then he went back into bed and he was like, yeah, I can do it. And then, because he was ahead of schedule at that point with the treatment. So then we got let home early and I made him, like the doctor said, oh, don't do them. So I made him I bought a little trampoline for the house.
Right.
So we're going to do this. You're going to just keep exercising, you're going to keep fit, and we're going to just keep, not drilling you, but exercise is a massive thing.
100%.
He's still a 5-year-old boy, isn't it? It's like that sort of
and
normality
he should be
of
bouncing around.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry, he couldn't go in a bath because of his Hickman line. He couldn't do that. He couldn't go on a trampoline. We've got a huge trampoline in the garden that Father Christmas brought him. He couldn't go on that. He couldn't ride his bike. He basically fallen off. He couldn't play football with his friends. Couldn't see his friends. And I just felt that's like wrong. So we tried to do everything that we could as a parent for him in that space of time. But yeah, even like 7 days before he got, I don't know, it's 3rd of September. So for 15 days before he died, he bought him a new bike for his birthday. So we took him out on his new bike. He wasn't well, but I know that I didn't know at the time that he was like in terminal, but he wanted to go out. He was tired. And I said, look, come on, ride your bike. You can do it. So I got a picture of him. He rode his bike around the little farm track near our house and he was smiling, but like, he was like really ill at that point.
Was you in like a constant worry at that point? Like when will he start getting better and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think you hit a point in your head when you realise something's not right. And we said this outside. You can feel like you think your dad's like he wasn't well, and you know in your head when something's not right. And I knew my wife was panicking, and I know I was panicking.
You try to be you're trying to be positive, but there's that little thing in the back of your head. You're going like, oh, I don't know. Like, well, you promise don't know.
You not believe. You're listening to the doctors, and the doctors saying, no, it can't be that.
Yeah, you're going off the experts.
Something is wrong here.
Yeah,
you know your son.
They don't know. They only know a certain amount of what's going on. They don't know exactly what's going on. Live on it. But it's difficult because you get yourself in a frame of mind that you think everything's gonna be all right, and whether that was false of us and.
But you're just being told what the experts are saying. Yeah. So you're looking out a positive.
But I'll be honest with you, I just stayed in my mind was like one track. That's it. It's gonna be fine. We get through it. You're gonna go to Orlando in July. We're gonna go to Disney World. And that is what we're doing. So that was my mindset. And then you throw a swerve ball. You think, oh, okay, then we'll deal with this now then. And it kept feeling. I don't know about you guys when you did it. But you kept finding that you were batting away balls all the time at a crease.
Yeah. Something coming.
There's like a wave. There's like an ocean. There's like constant waves coming at you.
Yeah. There's no smooth sailing, is there? No.
And it's like there's another wave and think. And then you sit back and after Hugh died, I was like, fuck. I don't think I can take anymore.
Yeah, it does. It's sort of like, if anything, it like kills a little bit of you inside, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've been through.
You're probably
like,
emotionally damaged. Like really, all that period, you probably
you've
ain't
seen
had
things and heard
The thing
things
is, I don't know
that
about you
no one
guys.
should ever have to.
I remember just sitting back at it, and when people ask me how you cope with it, I say, do you know what? One day I'll sit back and go, what the fuck happened?
Do you know what? I've been asked this question before. Like people like go like, oh, I don't know how you do it and all that. And this obviously is coming from us who've lost our dad, and a lot of people lose their dads and that. But like, and I always say, you sort of, if I was looking in on it, I'd go like, yeah, how did we? But you just do it, don't you? You do just deal with it.
I just think that one of the big things that I think grief is, someone will always encounter grief sometime in their life.
Yeah.
The grief isn't larger because you lose someone. The grief is still the same feeling, no matter who you lose.
Yeah.
So the closer they are to you, probably the more intense it is. But grief is, you can have grief from a breakup or anything.
Yeah.
But grief is
100%,
grief.
yeah.
But the problem is that I believe wholly that it should be taught at school.
Yeah, do you know what? That
yeah.
I've spoken to someone else about this. Yeah, I agree. To be honest with you, to sort of, obviously, there's no preparing you up for that sort of feeling, but make you understand it a bit more.
Well, just tell you what it is. You're gonna what the 7 stages are. Well, there's no order what they're in, but people die, and when they're of an age where they understand it, children, to prepare them for it.
Yeah.
Not telling them how you're going. This is how you cope with it, and there are certain ways you can cope with, which I found. Strategies that I've used and I still use now and stuff, but I just think that it's not a condition, it's a part of life.
Yeah.
And that's where people pigeonhole it, I think, a little bit too much, and it's like a condition.
Yeah.
Like depression is a condition.
Yeah.
That's something that can be helped with medication, and sometimes there's chemical imbalances that can cause depression. That's been proven. But grief is something you haven't asked for, and it's just happened.
It's always with you as well, I feel.
Every morning. I don't know about you, I wake up every morning, I'm hit with it, and I said to you out there, the only time it's ever going to leave me is when I shut my eyes for the last time.
Yeah.
But then I shut my eyes the last time, I'm going to turn around the corner, I'm going to be playing Lego with him. So it's one of those, isn't it? So I lose one thing, and you're going to be playing football, whatever, be old man.
I think I see a clip, I think it was on Ashley Kane's podcast, and I think he was interviewing, is it that Jake... he lost his dad.
Yeah, lost his dad.
And he said it was similar. Like you're always going to have that grief, but I never want that grief either to leave me, because it sort of
drives you on.
It does, yeah. And you sort of it reiterates how much that person meant to you and stuff, don't it?
It's almost like, well, there's some phrase. It's the love that you can't give.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
It's the love that you want to give, but you can't.
Yeah, it's all the love that you could never give to them, wouldn't it?
And that's what grief is. What does the Queen say? It's the price you pay for love.
Yeah, price for love.
So if you didn't love someone, you wouldn't feel that bad about them.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, it shows how much you love them, and like, it's nice to have them memories and to talk about them and stuff. Yeah, definitely. We do it all the time, don't we? Like we say, it was our dad's anniversary on Wednesday, and we spoke about like the memories and stuff like that.
Did you find, and I was like we talked about the illnesses outside, which obviously they succumb to, but you tend to block that out. When you start thinking of happy memories, they tend to go after a while. So I can't, when I put memories of Hugh now, obviously I go to flashbacks of certain things that happen, which is part of what has on, but it's the happy memories now, and that's what say when people say about grief and understand it, they said sometimes in time the happy memories will come to the forefront.
Yeah, because when it first happens, all you think about is the bad ones, and
you think
and then over time you think, oh, actually on a holiday we done this and this and this.
Yeah, and you start thinking of all that, and we've got, especially at home, we've got 2 younger children. One's never met Hugh, which has been born, and Rafe obviously is the intermediate and has met Hugh, but he'll never remember Hugh. He was too young. So we try to keep Hugh's name alive at home by saying, like Hugh used to like that, or like Batman and stuff. Hugh was well into Batman, so you see Batman. Rafe just got into Batwheels. So for me, it's like, it's nice to see, like Rafe was never into Batman or Marvel. Hugh was well into Marvel and Lego and things like that. So you come home and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not going to play Lego at the moment. I miss playing Lego. I miss watching Marvel, Lego on the TV. And you end up trying to push it on Rafe. Rafe, do you sure you don't want to watch Marvel?
Yeah.
No, I hate it. All right then. So that's a strange thing about losing. That's the sort of the grief stuff that you're going through. It's like, I miss that stuff now.
Yeah.
And then actually he started getting into battles. So I felt a bit warm. It's like, let's watch Batman again then. And then all these bat toys I've kept from Hugh. And that's the thing. They're 2 different children. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way.
Obviously, we haven't got kids, but I can imagine it's difficult. And like, what's it's going to be nice for when they're growing up and that, to sort of obviously where you're going to keep his memory alive and that, and see how much
like
what you're doing for him and stuff. That's going to be lovely for him to see, isn't it?
We put there's a lot of when I went in. Like I said, when Hugh died, I went straight to trauma therapy, like for PTSD. And one of the things that they were quite keen on me not doing was hiding Hugh's name or shutting up about it around the house, because I think if you don't talk about the child, and I've seen cases where parents and families do shut up about the child and don't talk about it and don't deal with it, and then like I say, everyone's entitled to do it, but I think if you don't talk about it in your house and you make it almost a sacrosanct name, then I think you're lining up that young child for problems. But I think personally, but I mean, medical people might say cancer might say otherwise, but I think it's good to talk about in the house and keep him alive in the house.
100%.
Yeah,
because he hasn't gone; he's just gone physically.
No.
And I said to Rafe, I said, talk to him all about him, and then if you see our charity, the butterfly symbol is that we had to tell Rafe that his brother wasn't coming home, and like there's no manual, no one knows how do you tell a child. There's obviously some theories on it, but you've got to be blunt with them because they understand bluntness, children. So we had to say, look, Hugh's dead. He didn't really understand that. We said, and we come across a poem, when the caterpillar thought its world was over, it became a butterfly. So the boys used to have, obviously in the industry at home, we get loads of caterpillars across golf courses. So we have an environmentalist. So we used to take like a dozen caterpillars home a year. We'd have a butterfly net where they would grow on leaves and stinging nettles, and then they form chrysalises, and then one day you just see they appear as a butterfly, and we open the net and they fly off. So that was we said to Rafe that Hugh had become a butterfly, and he'd flown off. He understood that. Yeah. And then like now he sees a butterfly, goes, there's my brother.
Oh, that's nice.
So he understands.
And you have a butterfly in your logo, don't you?
Yes, the butterfly is the logo, yeah. So that's the orange butterfly, is the admiral.
I like how it's all connected.
Yeah, so it's about really like, and the butterfly, people look at it, if it's in flight. So the butterfly's flying. It's got an infinity symbol on it, and it's in flight. So it's not static. It's always flying around. So that was the symbol. And that's how we told Rafe about it all. And I mean, I think the behavioural problems are coming now with Rafe. About 18 months on, it's like it's a bit difficult sometimes, but you don't know how to do it. No one knows how to deal with a child. So he's a bit too young at the moment, but we'll get him some help. I think later down the line. But
after Hugh passed, how did you find it? So how did you deal with it?
What personally?
Yeah, personally.
I'm always one that's quite strong and resilient, but stay on the positive side. So I wouldn't let anything get me down. After Hugh passed that night, we had an Uber drive home. My mum and dad came to the hospital that night, and my mother-in-law, I phoned them up. I said, look, you've got to come down. I don't think he's got long left. So I phoned them up. They came down, and it was about 11:20 Hugh passed.
So them words you never think you're going to ever say, innit?
No, and I think my mum, I feel sorry for her in a sense, because she had a hip operation, a hip replacement the day he went into hospital, relapsed.
Right.
So she couldn't come and see him because she was isolating. And so we met them outside the hospital. Sorry, boys. And then, met them outside the hospital, and then we had to go back to the shared care. We had like a flat we were in for like 2 days when Hugh was in that room for a long time. And they moved us to a different room. Obviously, they knew what was happening. And then, so my wife and I said, look, I don't want to go home with you guys. So we got an Uber home, which was the most surreal, weird time. Like an hour and a half to get home in an Uber. And the guy's talking about the football. We've just lost our son.
Yeah.
And I was like, we were just acting like, I was chatting to him about Arsenal. Like, he knows in the backseat we've just had the worst experience of our lives. And then we came home.
Sort of like almost on like autopilot, sort of a little bit like.
Yeah, so we come home and I was like, right. And then I think I cried for about 4 days. And I'm honest to admit, don't know what. I was like looking in the player and I'm thinking, shit, like never going to be in there again. Never going to walk through those doors again. I saw his shoes at the bottom of the stairs. I think, fuck, like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And first time at that point, I actually said I struggled, like, to think, how am I going to deal with this? Because my wife, she struggled as well. And we're both really, really, really positive people and strong people. And actually, to be fair, in hospital, what was strange about it is that you're asking, Hugh's going to pass, sadly, but you're asking him questions about his funeral, which is tough.
Yeah, so really tough, mate.
So you're asking him, like, I didn't ask him quite outright about it, but you ask him, what was your favourite ever experience, Hugh? And he said to me, London Eye. And I said, Mr. Fran, what? And then I said, for 2 weeks, Fran and I just stayed in a bed with him. We had a room about the size of this, with 2 beds, and Hugh was in that bed. And then we just stayed in there for 2 weeks with him. Like, didn't leave the room with him every time. And then we were chatting to him, and I said, what was your favourite song? And he told us, like, his favourite song. And
What was his favourite song?
he loves, I've got it now. Shockwave, Liam Gallagher.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
like that song. Going out of Shockwave. So that's his favourite song. And then the London Eye. He said I was a bit surprised by that. So London Eye, okay. So we were chatting to him, and that was the hard bit. And then I said to him, because in April I wanted to keep myself active, so I signed up to the marathon to run for a charity.
I remember
And
seeing
then
it
I
on
said,
Instagram.
they're not going to give me a place. Anyway, they phoned me up while I was in hospital with Hugh. They said, you got a place? I went, fuck. So this is in the April. I said, this is not, and the marathon was October the 3rd, I think it was. I went, fucking, what have I doing here? Anyway, so I said, I'll do it then. But I never started training till Hugh rang the bell, because I didn't want to tempt fate. Anyway, so I started ringing the bell. He rang the bell and he came out of it. I never did sponsorship until, or said about it, until Hugh passed. But I said to him in hospital, Hugh, and he was so proud of me doing the marathon. He used to go like, go on, Daddy, go start running now. And he was telling every nurse and every doctor, he'd make, Daddy's running the London Marathon. And this was like in the August time. And then I remember 27th of August, I went out running. I think it was about 30k, I got up to training, and my wife brought him out in the car to cheer me on, and he was in the back seat pumping his fist saying, go Daddy, with his little bald head, and I was like, right, okay, we're doing it for you. And then when I said to my wife, do you know what, I've got to do the marathon, and when he was in hospital about the 10th of September, I said, I've got to do the marathon in 4 weeks, what am I going to do? He said, go and run it. Hugh said, go and run it, Daddy, go and run it. I said, all right. He goes, yeah, start running now. This is when the old time that he was awake, he was in a coma most of the time. I said, go and run it. I said, all right then. So I said to my wife after, she says, what are you going to do about marathon? I said, I'm going to run it. She went, you're mad. You're going to kill yourself. I said, no, I'm going to run it. I said, I've just seen someone go through the worst thing you could ever imagine who didn't.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to run it. What else can I...
What more motivation do you need, innit? Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen to me? Worst that can happen to me is I end up in the same 6 foot area that Hugh is. I said, and I'll see it. I said, I don't understand. What I'm going to run it. I don't care. He's suffered more in that 2 weeks than I've ever seen anyone suffer in my life.
Yeah.
I said, so me running 6 hours and possibly having a heart attack, I don't really care.
So
I'm going to do it anyway. So I actually said I'm going to do it. I think I launched it on the marathon's on the 3rd of October. And I think we let everyone know. We kept it quiet about Hugh passing for about 10 days. We just wanted to deal with it ourselves first.
Yeah.
And then I think on the 27th of September, I said we put out a Facebook message say, look, Hugh's passed away. And then I'm going to run the marathon for Alice's Ark, which is a charity that looked after rhabdomyosarcoma that Hugh had. And I think we raised £46,000 in the space of like 2 weeks.
That's amazing, yeah.
It was mega. And then so I ran it, and then we buried Hugh on the Tuesday, and I put the London medal around Hugh's neck to bury him the medal. So it was almost bittersweet. I did it for him, and he was buried with me. So I never got a medal. But so I'm going to do it. So like I say, I'm doing it. That was my main thing after to get me through, was to give a focus.
Yeah, and I think you need it, don't you?
Oh, it got me. I would have.
You could quite easily lay in bed, feel sorry for yourself.
Yeah, but everyone said you're mad doing that. I said no. What else? He would have wanted me to go and run it. So,
sort of like mini therapy, innit? It's sort of like
and it keeps you going,
gives you a purpose. Yeah, no, definitely.
And
it's amazing.
I used to listen to podcasts and stuff, and during that time running, I listened to a podcast from Stephen Bartlett with Mo Gowdat about Pursuit of Happiness. And he wrote a book. Mo Gowdat unfortunately lost his son with a surgical procedure that went wrong. But Mo Gowdat said, and it's only when these bite-sized things that Stephen Bartlett does on the Diary CEO, and he just said, that my son died, but I had 2 choices. I could either carry on and be strong or do nothing, but neither were going to bring him home.
And I think I saw one of your Instagram posts where you were saying something similar. But what a way to look at it, really.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know about you guys, but I was of the view, like, I know what my son would have wanted me to do. There's no way you would want me to sit and be miserable.
No. How we looked at it, and I see it on yours as well, I just want to make his legacy well known 100%. Across any. I want everyone to know, like, about Geeze's grief. No, David Chisholm was the same as you. You want everyone to know who Hugh was, didn't you? Yeah.
Well, to be fair, there's people in this country now, like we've been in the papers and mails and everything like that, and no one would have known, as many people would have known about Hugh as they do now if he was alive. So that was the one thing that we wanted to do, was make sure everyone knew about him. But I don't know, but it was make sure that they know that his legacy lives on. And like I said, you're doing this now, and this is like,
it keeps you mentally stable as well, knowing you're doing your bit for him.
But you probably, it's because of the routine that you have, and that's the big thing about
Yeah.
So we're talking about grief and getting this routine and structure.
Yeah.
It's to keep yourself going day to day in short-term routines.
Yeah.
So knowing that you've got podcasts to do,
Yeah.
you're planning, and you know that to next week you've got to do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
that gives you a focus every week.
The way I look at it as well, like, I think like my dad, like you looking down, I'd be so proud, like looking back at some of the things we've done, not blowing our own trumpet, but just like I know my old man would be smiling from ear to ear. Do you know what I mean? Seeing us do this today.
That. I said, Dad,
yeah, you did, yeah.
Yes, it would be, because it's hard, and I say, there's a couple of types of people that you can get after it. You can lock yourself away, and hide away, not face it, or you can do what we're doing and say, this has happened. We're going to deal with it.
Try and make it as positive.
And how are we going to deal with it? We're going to deal with it with a smile on our face and say, right, because ultimately, I'll tell you what, something. Darren Barker, he's a mate of mine. He's the champion boxer, world champion boxer,
right.
And before he was made world champion, his brother died. And I spoke to Darren after. He texted me after Hugh passed away. He said, "Oh, thinking of you, mate," and stuff like that. And we had a chat, and he said, "Make sure you live a bloody good life, because they didn't get the chance to do it."
Yeah.
And I thought, that's right. That's a good. And I remember that.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't remember saying it to me, but he said to me, "Make sure you live a good life, because they never got the chance to do so."
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it.
And that's why I said, right, we've got the opportunity now to do something,
make a difference. Yeah.
And also, I don't know about you, but I saw people in that hospital, outside the hospital, when Hugh was in bed on every drip you can imagine, every wire, and there was grown-ups, mid-40s, 50s, 60s, outside smoking, outside of an oncology ward, and you've been given a second chance. I think, what a waste. You've been given a chance. You sat here smoking, and my 5-year-old, 6-year-old is in bed dying. Yeah. And I think, what chance is that? You've got to get up, and you've got a chance to do something different.
Yeah.
And I'm not one for, I don't know about you, I don't stay in the past. Like, Hugh's past now, and I understand it's happened, and it's awful it's happened, but we've got to look forward, and by looking forward, we're doing the charity.
You could quite easily stay in the past now,
and
no one would blame you, because
you've still got a loving family. You've got two other boys that you've got a
life to live.
Yeah,
you've got a lot, and
like we've said before, they wouldn't want you being in your bed curled up doing nothing.
No chance. I know what he's saying to me. Get up.
Yeah, exactly.
Get moving. Get moved. Dad, come on, Daddy, keep going.
Did you feel bad for doing stuff afterwards? Like,
do you know, I had this conversation with someone the other day about it. Someone said something to me at the funeral time, I don't know about you, is that you're going to find that after, I think the vicar said it to me actually, Jenny, she said to me, you're going to find that for a week now everyone's going to be texting you, and then it's going to go quiet.
Yeah.
And then your world has stopped spinning, and it's going to stop spinning for a few months.
But everyone else is
going to get back on that horse and start riding around.
You don't want that, do you? When you hear that, you're like, oh, I don't want that.
And it's almost like, do you know, if you're that way inclined, it's almost like you like the attention.
It makes you feel
I didn't like the attention, but I felt loved.
Yeah.
And also I found that people that I would have thought that would have stepped up didn't. And people that I never expected to actually step forward and actually become really good friends with me now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was a bit shocked by that.
Surprises you, yeah.
And people that I thought would have been there weren't there, and people that I thought no chance actually stepped up and sent me messages of support, and I think, oh, okay, right, there you go. These are true test of someone's character.
I read Rio Ferdinand's book, and he said after the funeral, everyone's going to go back to their normal life, and you're in this bubble.
It's like as if they've forgotten about it,
and before
that's all you can think about.
Yeah, and then when someone says, for example, like Mother's Day, like yesterday, Christmas Day, I'll think of you today, mate. It's every day.
Yeah,
I said, this is every day. This ain't tomorrow. This ain't yesterday. This is every day. You can have Mother's Day all you want. All it is just it enhances it.
Yeah.
Or Father's Day. It's every day.
Because you're seeing everyone else celebrating.
Yeah,
and
that is such a good way to like.
You don't just grieve more on that certain day, you grieve every day.
Yeah. And I get text messages, and I'm really thankful for the text messages that send through that know that you're in their thoughts. But it's like, it's every day.
Yeah.
I struggle. Not a struggle, but every day it's on my mind. Just one day doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Christmas is one of those days. It's a lead up to Christmas I don't like.
Yeah.
But I love it because of the children. And I know Hugh love Christmas.
Yeah.
So you go make the best for him sort of thing. And it's all put pressure on families being together. Well, what about those families that can't be together? And that's a lot of people. So they make people feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that. So she said that to me about the world stopped spinning, and was one of the hardest things to get your head around. And it's true, your world does stop spinning. And then I found that, and then it's difficult, but I always had this frame of mind that, all right, we get up and we carry on, we do it, and I got myself back into work quickly. I wasn't going to hide away.
Got to distract yourself, haven't you?
And
I did as well. Yeah, after my dad, I got back at you. You was pretty quick as well.
And people were like cautious about how they speak to you. I'm like, listen, just talk to me normally.
Yeah,
I still find it now.
If I want to talk about it, I'll talk about it.
Yeah,
but leave it on my terms.
Yeah.
And then, but because I work in an environment, there's lots of members, and they all want to come up and say, "I'm sorry to hear about." Yeah, and I'd go to. Yeah, fine. It's not your fault. Don't worry. You didn't do anything to him. I said, "Oh, no worries. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's fine." And also because I don't know about you, but I'm 17 months after Hugh passed away. People seem to forget, and I have no problems with them forgetting of what we went through, because that's life. You move on, and I can't be resentful.
You won't ever forget, no.
But no one forgets anyone that they lose. My mum still remembers her dad, and he died 50 years ago, and she still regret and then you get resentful about things and stuff, but you can't do anything about it. No. And what's staying in the past going to do?
Yeah, that's really
it's a bit of a silly question, but know when you have the bad days, how do you sort of snap out of it? And
just think, why am I having a bad day? So I gave up drink. I haven't drunk for 3 years.
Really, yeah.
On purpose. I gave up in COVID. The first lockdown, I said, I'm just not going to stay in the house with 2 kids and a wife drinking. And my mates were doing it. Everyone got into these craft beers or gins, whatever. It wasn't my cup of tea. I thought I'm going to stay healthy. And then people can go down a pub. I said, I ain't going to sit in a pub full of 6 people. I ain't going to do that. I said, I'm going to go and mingle about and have a dance or whatever it is. If I want to be in a pub standing. So I never went down a pub then. And that was just not because of any other thing other than the fact I didn't want to go down a pub and get COVID at the time because no one knew about it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then Hugh got diagnosed in October. And then he got diagnosed. And then I couldn't drink because we needed to be on call, because we needed to take him to hospital within 30 minutes if he got an infection. So I couldn't drink. And then when he died, I thought, you know what, I'm going to manage my mental health, don't drink. So I was aware that the fact it wasn't the drinking that worried me, it was the day after.
Yeah.
So I wanted to manage my own situation.
Mentally. Like, you know, if you've been on the piss,
you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in that situation.
And quite easy, you could have turned to drink and gone.
100%.
Yeah.
And then and I don't want to be vulnerable in the house. And my wife was pregnant, and my other son was there. And, you know, you get low on drink, and it's not your true self. It's you're tired because you don't get the right sleep. And it's not fair. And I just thought, you know what, also I need to look after myself.
Yeah.
So it was almost like self-love after that. So I stopped drinking, and then I can't remember the question. What was I saying?
I remember you saying out there when we were speaking about you getting into your therapy.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like whenever you have like a negative sort or anything brings you back now, like you have a little thought to yourself, you have a little nod, and then it takes you back to that positive memory.
I said, well, I went straight into therapy after, tried to reach out to charities, and they all told me it's a 3-month wait, but I needed it there and then. So I was fortunate. I went into like a trauma clinic when I had not an inpatient, but just had 1 hour a week. I went to see 2 different ones. I went to see a gentleman in London. I used to get a train every morning, once a week, 8 o'clock in the morning to go and see him. And then I'd see a lady via Zoom once a week. Both different ends of the spectrum with therapy. One, I like talking to the gentleman because he talked to me in a sort of a candid male way, sort of like, just shut the fuck up sort of thing, get on with it. Like, I remember asking him a question, I'm worried about my other child getting, he went, hold your nerve. I was like, okay. But you know, like, he needed to say it to me, and I like that rawness of it all. Yeah, and he was quite good, and he talked to me about.
That's why it's maybe quite good to have different aspects of it, because obviously other people might respond better to another way 100%. And that, but you don't know until you get in there and do it.
I wanted to test both of them out, and actually I liked, but they both had different things to it.
Qualities,
and the lady that I saw, she was more of cognitive behavioural therapy, so she was trying to change my mindset. So when I used to talk to the male one about PTSD and triggers, he just like say, well, that's part of it. It's like, okay, that's not really helping. But yeah, he talked to me about the factual things, like putting it into like, yeah, it's terrible, it's the biggest killer, things like that, but that's what happened, and it's happened, and this is how you deal with it, and what's more around the situation. Talk about your life around it. So how can you deal with things around it, and like talking to things about like how you dealing with it, how you're dealing with your wife and things like that, like more around the subjects. But that helps come back to the subject because it gives you a way of clearing your head around it.
Yeah, you're talking, aren't you? That's the main
and then
thing.
this lady talked about cognitive behavioural therapy and sort of meditation and trauma therapy, which really helped me because I was lost at that point with what I'm going to do, because I almost crashed the car about 3 times. I remember sitting there And that, like PTSD, if everyone's ever suffered with it, it's like a cinema reel in your head that keeps going off,
right.
and sort of full of negative reels, and you can get triggered from a song, a smell, a sound, like being in the car. For example, I was in the car and a song come on. I remember it now, driving around, I almost crashed. I not blanked out, but like went into a daze.
Yeah, all your concentration was on that.
I was back in the hospital again, like in the last few hours of Hugh's life, and it was reeling through my head now. Like not now, but back then, I was like, I almost drove the car into a tree. I was like, fuck, I need to do something. So I phoned. They assessed your need, and she took me on, and she actually really sort. And when someone said to me, "Does therapy work?" I said, "Well, I'm still alive." That's how like it helped me.
Yeah,
I was never suicidal, never like to be like that. But you know, in a candid way, I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm still here."
Yeah.
So that shows that it works.
Yeah.
And so she helped me deal with the triggers that I was having. So as I said to you, we spoke before. Like I have this trigger of seeing Hugh lying in like towards the end of his life, or at the end of his life, lying there, and I couldn't deal with that image. It's one of those images that will never leave me. It's in my head now, so I flashed up again in my head. But now I know that I can just put it back in the back of my head, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And there are days where you want to delve into that dark side of your head. So sometimes you want
see
to
it more often, sort of thing.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're feeling like you need to have a cry, like as a bloke, I fully admit, sometimes I put a song on, I feel a bit shitty. I might put a song on that reminds me of Hugh in the car, and it'll make me tear up. Nearly every day.
Oh, mate, nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No, but I listen to a song and I'll get someone might say a lyric. What's that song? The Kate Bush song from that Strangest Things. What's it called? On that film. But she said, basically the song's about I'd swap positions with you. I'd be in your place. I'd take your place. And that, mate, I was listening to that the other day. I never listened to the lyrics before, and you start. It's like, wow, yeah, and that welled me up. And I thought, but sometimes it's good to do that.
Yeah.
But it's a way if you can get back out of it.
Because you quietly stay in it, couldn't you?
Yeah, you quietly. And so when I was going through therapy, I'm quite good at creating analogies and sort of metaphors of things. And I said to we came up with this idea that the grief was like a river, and either side is two areas. So one side is the grief that I feel for missing Hugh, and the other side is my normal life. So for 38 years of my life, I've been on this side of the river, and all of a sudden I've been thrown violently over to the other side of this river. And the therapy is the brickwork to create a bridge to both. And that's what therapy does.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, so it's like it's always going. So I've always got these both sides that I can walk between. But as I always said to session one, we're starting to build the foundations of this bridge. And I said that so we've built and built and built. And I think I must have said, I've only I purposely stopped going about a month ago, actually, just to try and wean myself off it, to get myself, because I was in a place and I just found like I wasn't getting anything out of that session at the time. And I was all right. But it was like building that bridge. So when that bridge is built, like some days you might want to jump back over to that side.
But the bridge is built.
The bridge is built, and I've got the bridge built there, and it's a bit of maintenance, now and then. Like I feel bad, and okay. And there's sometimes like at Christmas, I said to him, I need to see her again. I'm having a bit of a bad day.
Yeah.
I'm having a bit of like trouble, not PTSD or anything, trouble dealing with it, and I need to speak to her again. So we get on, and she'd help me understand why I was feeling like that.
Yeah.
And there might be some issues that I have, like anxiety, and how I would deal with that. And she was excellent. And she was basically like, for example, one of the things that I used to say, she was write a letter that you'd like to say to Hugh, and then go and set it on fire.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Or put it in a river and let it float away. It's like, okay. So I did that. I wrote a letter. What would you say to Hugh? If you could speak to Hugh one more time, what would you say to him? So I write a letter out. I'm sorry, mate. Sorry you had to go through this. Sorry you're on your own now. You've got my grandmother and you're on your own. We'll be up there. One day I'll see you again and stuff like that. I'm sorry that I had to go through it. Sorry that I couldn't swap like stuff like that. And then you set it on fire, and it's almost like the analogy of set up the fire was like, okay, so you've got that out of you.
Yeah.
So sort of techniques I had like that.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like that.
Little things that I do. One of the biggest things I found, like with the therapy, was creating routine and structure for myself.
Yeah.
It's like I had to have a routine. I struggle with weekends. Like you guys asked me to come on a Saturday today is perfect.
Right.
Because I have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So I have a structure. So I go to the gym in the morning. I know like Monday to Friday, I'm dropping Rafe off at school. I'm going to the gym.
Yeah,
then
I
I'm
know
going
what
to
you're
work.
saying, yeah.
Then I've got to pick him up at 4:30. I'm going home. I'm having dinner. And then I would do bedtime. And then my wife and I will sit down for
Nothing's
2-3 hours.
throw you off
Argue
that
for about 3
routine.
hours. Go to bed. No, but you know, like it's like that routine, the structure.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that's what we needed to help me. That's my way of dealing with it. And then we, like I said, the charity was my way out of grief.
Yeah.
And that's what we really, 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 really focused on.
What gave you the idea to do that?
Charities are generally formed because someone's had a bad experience or feels that something could be done more.
Yeah.
And we felt we had a bad experience. Not a bad experience. Hugh possibly would have died of this cancer anyway. But we felt like we were always going to do, even when Hugh was being treated, I wanted to do something to raise money for the hospital because I see how underfunded they were and how brilliant the nurses were.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fair to them to be like as it was. And I thought, right, we need to do something. And it's going to be called Hugh's, for Hugh or something, the charity at the start was going to call. And then when he came out of it, like I said, when we went through it all, and the dust settled after the marathon, my wife and I said, well, what are we going to do? And she went, I'm not sure I'm in a position to do anything right now. She fell pregnant quite quickly after Hugh passed away. So she went through all grief pregnant, which was like, I don't know how she done it.
Yeah.
9 months of being sick and stuff like that.
Yeah, cool.
I feel like Hugh's a trooper. But we needed to do so. We set it up in March. So I'm actually a year old now, the charity. So it's a year ago we set it up.
You've done some big things with it already, haven't you?
To be fair, I look back last night and where we were a year ago was just an idea. And so we wanted, to summarise the charity in a nutshell, when we went through it, for example, when we were told that Hugh was going to die, we come out of the room, Hugh was in bed in another room with a play nurse with him. My wife and I had the meeting with him, and we came out, turned left, and we sat by the vending machine on our own. And I went, where is someone coming outside and speaking to us to help us?
Yeah.
And telling us what's going to happen? And I thought, that's bad. And then another thing happened is that when Hugh was going through treatment, like you say, we talked about it, so I couldn't talk to anyone about it, no one understood it. So I was in Sainsbury's one day in Hertford and in the car park, and Hugh's old teacher was there, Mrs. Greer. And my go-to reaction was, oh, everyone, I've heard about Hugh, I'm really sorry, and stuff like that. I was like, right, don't worry, you didn't give it to him, and I'll get off, he's on track. That would be my go-to saying. Anyway, as I turned my back after saying it, she went, no, my daughter had it. My daughter had cancer. I know exactly what you're going through.
Really?
I went, whoa, okay. So I ended up walking for about an hour and a half around the car park with her, just chatting to her about it. She understood the relentlessness of it. She understood the pressure of it, everything like that. And I said to her at home, come to my wife, I said, you know what? I feel like I've got a weight off my shoulders. I've just spoken to someone who understood completely what I was going through and what you're going through. And it's very difficult at hospital because everyone was at a different stage of their treatment. You didn't really want to talk to anyone in hospital because they tell you something else and everything was so different.
Yeah.
So I said to my wife, right, we need to make sure or get all these people together to talk, these parents. So when you go to any club to lose weight, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, Alcoholics Anonymous, Gowners Anonymous, you're with peers going through like things. So they're all people doing the same journey as you. And they've all got the same experiences, but you learn from their experiences and you talk about it from experience, what we're doing now through grief. We're talking about sharing our experiences. Professionals who have no experience can't share that with you. And as someone phoned me up from the charity, he didn't have children. I was like, what? Okay. So we wanted to connect all these people together. Didn't want to do it on Facebook because the idea was we come off Facebook. Didn't want to do it via Google. Google was full of misinformation. You could type in the world is flat. It come up with 200,000 pages that the world is flat. Not right. So why would you type in your child's diagnosis on Google when you can type in anything? You can type in aliens living on Earth and it'll come up with something. So we need a private place, and also in the hospital they're giving you all this information, but you're not really looked after as a parent. They're not telling you the benefits of sleep. We know the benefits of sleep now has a massive impact on your mental and physical health. At hospital, I did a sports science degree, so I sort of kind of know about that. But even it's hard to put into practice. So, and you've got parents in there that don't sleep, and they say 25% of parents who are looking after a sick child would fall under the banner of acute sleep deprivation. So you only get the average of 4.6 hours sleep in a hospital setting when you're looking after a child. And I think they said the average lack of sleep is 73 minutes they're losing a night by looking after a child. So it has a massive impact on your life. But it's this information that no one knows about, and also like how to eat properly, how to look after yourself. And as I said to you, there's doctors and nurses walking around the hospital that know this stuff, but they don't ask the parents, how are you eating? How are you sleeping? And also in the hospital, there wasn't food provided for us that would fill us up nutritionally.
Yeah.
So I'm 6'1", 110 kilos. A slice of toast with jam on it isn't going to work for me in the morning.
Yeah.
You know? And the kids on chemo, you want to feed them anything you want. So the biggest expenditure of a parent in hospital is food. So we lived off Deliveroo, like £200 a week I'd spend in there, like 50 quid, and order a minimum of £20. They put delivery charge in it. And for Hugh, I'd get him to eat as much as he could to put weight on, to keep him strong. So you'd buy, the M&S shop there was there, and I was spending 30 quid a day. Daddy, I fancy a jam donut. Right, mate, I'll get you a jam donut. Oh, I don't like that jam. Oh, I'll get you another jam donut. So you'd be going in M&S every 5 minutes buying, I want jelly beans. Right, I'll get you jelly beans, Hugh. So you'd be doing that, so you're spending loads of money on it, but there's nothing there for the parents. So when you're looking for food to keep you going, there wasn't that. So I thought there's so many elements to it. I was saying to my dad as I came out of hospital, there's no food for us, Dad. There's no money for parents. I mean, I was fortunate during the time that work was finished anyway because of furlough and COVID. So we were supported from my family business. But there's parents there with no money. So there's no support from them. Yet they're expected to buy food every day, travel to hospital and things like that.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, we need to be that voice for the parents and also we need to do something for the parents. So when they're giving you information in hospital as well, it's like pamphlets and leaflets and things. I went, oh my God, you know, I used to listen to podcasts a lot. It got me through. I used to listen to some LBC ones and Headspace and stuff to help me sleep. And someone gives you a book to read. I said to someone, you give me this book. It's like reading at 40,000 feet in severe turbulence.
Yeah.
I ain't going to read that.
No.
I said, my son's like going to the toilet every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and so many people relate to that as well. I ain't going to read that.
I'm stressed. The worst thing you can do, I know it sounds dim. For me, the worst thing I could do is read a book when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Can't concentrate.
No, exactly, yeah.
I'm like 100 miles an hour. If I'm stressed, I want to walk around the house or go and eat. And that was the thing at the time. So right. But what I could do was listen to podcasts for 10 minutes or watch a video on my phone. So I said to my wife, right, this all needs to be on your phone. This needs to be in your face and your ears, watching. So what we set about, and we created, actually got lucky, we created the UK's first exclusive social media platform for parents of children with cancer. So the Children's Cancer Platform we created, and we formed a charity called It's Never You, purposely set out to support the parents. So we set out, and then when you go initially with a charity, people are like, yeah, all right, whatever. It don't take you for real.
But then, and then
I we sort of went, right, no, we're not going to go away from this. We're doing this. And we raised quite a lot of money, actually, in the first year. Give us the chance to put things where we wanted to be. So we got this platform. We got introduced to this lovely man, Dr. Jack Bartram, who's a head consultant haematologist at Great Ormond Street. So he gave us the time to speak to us. And actually, he's one of our trustees now, the charity. He put us into Great Ormond Street. So all of a sudden, we went into Great Ormond Street. We're in every ward. In every dorm, actually every room in Great Ormond Street is a poster of our charity on there to support the parents. We're in every shared care folder in Great Ormond Street. We're in Addenbrooke's where Hugh was. We're in Birmingham. All around the country now.
That's unreal, mate. Well done.
Yeah, so we did, and then we got out, we did it all, we're supporting the parents. So that got us through the real hard bit of grief. So it kept my mind occupied.
Yeah, it gives you a same again. It's a
you're
bit more purpose,
relatable as well. Like you've been through it, so the parents.
Yeah, and it's when they say people find it easier to deal with things when they've been through it.
Yeah.
So I put myself in them shoes, and I think it's a bit more authentic, the charity, because it's not someone running that's a career CEO. It's someone that's actually, do you know what? I've been there. I've been through the rough side of it.
Yeah.
I completely understand what you're going through.
I'm here to help you.
I know exactly what you're going to be, what you need. I know exactly what's the shortcomings.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to make this as like the best way possible, isn't it?
Yeah,
even though it's not great. Obviously, it's horrible, but you're going to give them every help that you can.
So like we're now making inroads. So one of my things that I set out to do was to change the way that the government looks after parents of sick children. So I said to you, they don't get supported financially. There's nothing for them. Something that I never thought about, and no one ever thinks about really. That you'd think that a parent of a child who's ill in hospital, not just cancer but chronic illness, would be supported financially, but they're not.
Really?
So there's no support for a parent
when you've got enough stress as it is, isn't it?
So
that's the last thing you want to think about, isn't it?
And I think we went, and actually Sir Oliver Held, who is a long-standing MP in the Conservative Party, who is our local MP in East Herts, when I approached him, he actually said, right, I'm going to take you into the Minister of Health in the House of Commons. I was like, okay. So we went and met them. I sat in the House of Commons with him, and he introduced me, and he was brilliant. And we sat there, and they listened to me, and they sent me a letter back. And now how it's developed on that side is actually sat down with the heads of the Cambridge University Hospital Trust, where Hugh was in Annybrookes, and actually they listened to what I had to say, and actually they're putting into practice what we're working together with them now to change what parents are doing now.
Oh, that's amazing, mate.
It's amazing,
to say that we're making an impact now, and
in such a little time as
well.
well.
Yeah, wait a year, and we've done some phenomenal things, and continue to do some great things. And what's nice to hear is that we get text messages. I'll put my mobile phone number actually on the charity website, which has got to come off. But actually, we get text messages from. We sent Mother's Day gifts out to every mother in the hospitals, the 3 hospitals in the UK.
Oh,
so
nice.
they all had a package on Mother's Day, which we sent to
what
the hospitals.
What a nice thing to do, yeah.
And they were sending me text messages like, "What an amazing thing! My child's got this condition, and you've just made my day better." And I think if that was me in there, I'd like to receive that. My wife said she'd like to receive that. So if we could put smile.
It's really thoughtful, that.
Yeah,
really thoughtful.
And I said to at the time when I carried Hugh's coffin in the church, I said, if there's one dad out there that I can change the course of, so they don't have to do this, or they can deal with this better, then the whole thing, like Hugh's passing, wasn't in vain.
Yeah.
And that's what I said at the time.
It's a nice way to look at it, mate. Yeah.
And then, so the idea was that with the charity and what you guys are doing with this podcast and your guys, the Geezers and Grief stuff, is if you can change the outlook of one person.
You've done your job,
and that Mo Gowder, for example, I reached out to him and he messaged me back, which was he didn't have to. And I said, you've changed my outlook and you've helped me. So his goal of what he did was to make 10 million people happy after his son died. Well, you've changed the outlook and course of one man who's now changing the outlook of different parents. So that was so he made a difference. And also it was nice to have a person to look up to or look for who's gone through it and got through the other side of it.
Yeah.
So the purpose of what your guys are doing, which I think is fantastic, is like someone could be in a position where they're struggling with grief. They think, fuck, what do I do now? Oh, hang on, I've got guys on here that have dealt with it. I can get through it.
Yeah. We ain't got all the answers, but...
There's no answers to it.
Nah, but... You never know. You're going to take
relatable.
something that is relatable and go like, oh, actually, I can relate to that. So,
but like I say, if someone says to me, I'm going to go and give therapy a try, go and do it. Honestly, got nothing to lose.
Do you know what? I was very on the fence about therapy, and then I think we spoke to one of our guests on here, and he again couldn't recommend it enough, and then I give it a go from that, and I thought it was really good.
It was a game changer for me in a sense that it really helped me put me on a level playing field.
Yeah.
And then, but there's other things that I do and continue to do to keep myself going. Whereas then I went and got back into the gym. I make sure I work out 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, that helps massively as well, doesn't it? Yeah.
De-stressing you and giving
free therapy. That is
I
definitely.
watched the Jonah Hill documentary on Netflix. And
he
has a therapist as well. So he interviews the therapist, and the therapist goes through it's what you eat, how much sleep, exercise.
100%.
He said
it's the basics, isn't it? But it's such a
bad.
Well, that's the thing that what the charity was set up to do was to make that the important thing. So we've got the elixirs that we call it of our charity. So rest and recovery, which includes your sleep.
Yep.
You got movement, which is exercise, mobility, keeping active. Nutrition, which is what you put into your body, you get out of your body.
Yeah.
So what you get out of your body, what you put into it. Obviously, hydration, keeping hydrated, and also your mind, how you deal with things, and your interaction with your peers. So all those things make up how you're reacting to the outside world. So if you can change or manipulate any of those things, and all of that is in your hands.
Yeah.
So all of that is in your. You can do that. You can sleep better. That you can change your sleep hygiene pattern. So you can change the way you sleep, how you get to sleep. You can change the way that your mind works by CBT therapy. You can join a gym, even go for a walk, get your 10,000 steps in a day. You can go and make sure that you recover more. Yoga, meditation, mindfulness, all these things have such major impact on mental health.
Yeah.
But I think they're also underlooked and not given enough credit to.
Yeah, definitely.
Within the statutory authorities, like the NHS. If they said to someone, right, and this is what we found, if someone said after Hugh died, right, these are your 5 things that are going to help you get through this. And this is, we go back to teaching them at school, the basics of it was, as the kids are older, eat well. Right, okay, don't drink. I think it's a massive thing. Don't drink. Don't make yourself vulnerable. Don't take drugs. It's going to make yourself even more crazy what you're going through, or it can help. Make sure that you manage your exercise. Give yourself a target. Like marathons for me, give myself a fitness target.
Yeah.
So I'm stupid enough doing them, but I love them. I'm trying to do another one in a month's time. I just think they
can put
keep
your
me
mind to
structure. I know that I've got to do it. And then what worries me is after we did that football match.
Yeah. That looks amazing, mate.
It was amazing.
What's next?
Yeah, it was like almost like that. It's like that golden. They call it gold medal syndrome. It's like you get the gold medal, and then what do you do next?
Yeah.
And that's what I said to my wife. I said after the football match, it spent 2 months like getting it sorted, like the stress of it. I loved it. It was stressful, but it kept me going every morning. Like, today I've got to do this, and what am I doing next? And that worried me, that low point.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I'm like, well, I've got nothing to do.
busy.
Tyson Fury said the same thing, didn't he? When he became world champion, he was like, "Well, what's next now? Like, I've got everything. I've got." Like,
Exactly. But what's he got to do? He's got to go and box.
Yeah.
Keep yourself training.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And this is a thing like Robbie Williams. He played Nebworth, was the pinnacle of his career, and then what? Then he sort of went off the rails a bit.
Yeah.
Because he'd done what he wanted to achieve in life.
Yeah.
You've always got to have something.
So yeah, it's almost better to be
target.
aspirational, to set yourself.
Yeah.
What's that? Matthew McConaughey gave a speech, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said it in the Oscars or something. He said, every year I say where I want to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's an unreal
He said,
speech.
but I set it
yeah.
always further, so I always set in advance where I want to be. I'm setting the goals a bit further, so I'll never achieve what I want to.
Yeah, what is that quote? It was like, "Are you where you want to be?"
I asked Matthew, last year's
he
Matthew,
goes, "Ask me in 10 years, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you." Yeah.
So in that case, what's next for the charity? What's the next goal?
So we're at a point now where we're working with the hospitals. We're working with a lot of parents. We want to make sure that parents know that we're here. We understand also from a perspective, what we're doing is that we want to, by the end of this year, we're going to open up what we're doing to all parents of children with chronic illnesses. So children's cancer, obviously close to our hearts, what happened to Hugh, but we also understand that in a hospital, for example, that's one ward. There's 23 other wards of parents struggling. So we know that those parents are struggling even more because children's cancer is the number one killer of children, apart from road traffic accidents. So that charity, they're supported more than ever. But there are also rare conditions that other children get that are not so supported through charities. So we want to support those parents. So we're trying to think of a way how we can cover all the parents. And we've got some other thing. Well, we're putting procedures into place, into hospitals so they can educate the parents a bit more about these 5 things that we say, the most important things that they need to do, because we think that can manage them better. And then it's just like trying to get money and donations coming in, because charity only runs on donations. My wife and I don't take any money out of it. It's a full-time 24 hours job. It's just her and I that run it. And at the moment, it's 2 of us providing all this stuff to the parents. And like I say, the feedback we get is like so well needed. And obviously we know because we went through it, it is needed. But yeah, we've got some, like I say, I'm doing a marathon, trying to raise some funds. There's a big thing.
Where can they find the donation page?
That's on our, if you go onto our Instagram, it's.neveryou charity, it's all on there, you'll see.
Lovely.
Yeah, we'll help promote it as much as we can, mate.
Yeah.
Obviously, we haven't got a massive following, but anything helps, doesn't it? Yeah.
And then there's something we're doing in the summer. This might come out after we've done the video. So we're doing the National Three Peaks.
Oh, nice.
Which is in June. So I know we did the Yorkshire Three Peaks last year, which was brutal. And I vowed never to climb a mountain again. But I think sitting in a car between mountains actually sounds quite good. But we're going to do the National Three Peaks on the Midsummer's Day. So we'll do it the longest day of the year. We've got our first ever butterfly ball at Christmas that we've done, like a black tie do, which we've sold out already. We've sold 150 tickets already. And it's only launched it 3 weeks ago.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then, just trying to keep it actively going, trying to raise money for it. Trying to keep it, we're secure now, the charity's fine anyway, but like I say, we're just trying to keep awareness of that actually we're here for parents.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's hard to understand where the charities are. And also just keep myself going and support my family, really. We've got a lovely little unit now, and we're tight. And
it sounds like it, mate.
To be honest with you appreciate, I know this sounds really silly, I like staying at home now. I appreciate it more. I can't be bothered to go out down the pub.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but I actually like staying at home.
I don't think it sounds silly at all.
No, I bought a barbecue. I cut the barbecues for the summer. I bought that. I'm 40 next week, and I think I'm not really. I used to be party animal and go out every Saturday and Sunday, but I think I value this. I prefer. Do you know, if someone I've got a baby at home, and I've got Rafe he's 4. I would have got wound up with a screaming baby 2 years ago, but now I just actually appreciate, even if it's screaming, trying to punch me, and it's nappy shit everywhere.
Yeah,
I actually appreciate it a bit more. And actually, where you could get hit up, I think where I've learnt to just take a step back and a breath and think, just actually appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because it's what you want, really, what you have, and I think a lot of people take things for granted, really.
Yeah, it's crazy how life spans out. Like, you think 6 years ago, you'd never think you're setting up a charity.
Mate, 10 years ago, and I'm 40, when I'm 30, I was single. And if someone said to me, in 10 years' time, you're going to be married, you've had 3 kids, one of them's not going to be here anymore, you'd have a charity that's up and down the country, and you'd be sitting doing a podcast talking about grief. I mean, what the fuck's a podcast?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're going to lose a child?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're going to do, and you're going to be married? Okay.
It's a big eye opener, isn't it?
And you think, so, like I say, I'm 40, what am I going to be when I'm 50? Hopefully, I'm going to spend my 40s getting myself in shape, fit, healthy, look after my children, and make sure that we can help other people, and that's the way forward, really. And it's difficult, like, not difficult, it's different. Life is different now.
Yeah.
I think I appreciate things a bit more. I don't get so wound up anymore.
No.
I don't know about you. You realise that there's actually more to life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Sometimes you forget, but then you soon, like I say, doing stuff like this, it reiterates, like, you're not going to be here forever. You've got to make it worthwhile.
Well, I'll tell you, when you get to, my mum was younger than me, when you get 40, I'm halfway through now, what have I got to do the next half?
Yeah.
But like I say, at 40 now, I'm thinking, well, look what we are. We've got this charity, and think, well, let's make a difference now for the next 10 years. Let's really sort of push
Continue Hugh's legacy.
Yeah, exactly. And like Rafe will be 5 in July, which was the same age Hugh got diagnosed, and that's a really strange one to deal with. Because,
I can imagine. Yeah.
You're looking at Hugh's friends who are like really tall now, and 8 and 9. He would have been 80 this year, Hugh. And you think, it's like it's weird to think that he's not here with you, but he is always, like you say, Dad's always with you. But it's just a strange thing. How life moves on, and you sort of not forget people, but you move on with them in your mind. And
it goes quick, doesn't it? As well, it goes really quick.
Yeah. When people people forget, like, you'd be walking in, like, you act normal. I don't know about you, but I act normal. I've got back into work, and when you see people, and I find it difficult, not difficult, strange when people say, "How many kids you got?" What do you say? My wife struggles with that. I said, well, you have a go-to answer. I said, you can either put it on them, or you can lie. So if you want to put it on them, expect to cry.
Yeah.
But if you want to lie, expect that you're going to feel that you're missing Hugh out.
You're going to get more awkward questions
so
as
I
well.
just say, I've got 3 kids, but 2 with me.
Yeah.
When they want to ask what happened to the 3rd, I'll say, well, you don't really want to know.
Yeah.
So let them own the question, really.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing. But people will ask silly questions. You think, why are you asking me that? What's that got to do with anything? You're washing my hair, an hairdresser.
Yeah.
What's that? Would you really want to know?
Yeah.
And then that's what I find. That's the reality of grief. Is that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
No, I find
it's the answers and the questions.
Yeah, it is hard sometimes. Like, we've had people before and that. Yeah, and you think like, I don't know if like you're the person I'd be talking to about like that sort of thing. But
I don't know about you. I find talking to random strangers a bit easy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when they can have a detachment about it.
Yeah. Don't know you, don't know all your family and that.
I've got no, and that's where counselling works.
Yeah.
Because they're completely random.
Yeah, I was just going to say
that. They don't judge you. They don't know you. They've got no reason to judge you. And basically, you speak to them for half hour or 40 minutes. At the end of it, you walk out, you don't speak to them again. But you feel like you've offloaded all your shit onto them.
Yeah.
And they're professional enough to understand to get rid of it. And they deal with it in a way. And you think, oh, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah.
That's where it works. But a lot of people with therapy think they're going to bring up all their past and make them crumble. I'm like, no, they're not going to do that. They're talking about what's wrong with you now.
Yeah.
They're not going to go about what you eat when you were 6.
Yeah.
And how's that affected you now?
Yeah.
They're not worried about. They're worried about how you're feeling now and how you're going to move forward. Because that's what therapy is about.
Yeah. Exactly.
You can't change the past. That's the thing. It's all looking forward.
Like you say, this happened.
Well, you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
No, exactly.
So
There's always going to be more obstacles than that in there around the corner. So,
but all this thing is teaching you tools how to deal with life.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the key to therapy and
if you can have more tools on how to deal with stuff like that, you're winning really. Like, I think you're only a step ahead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I just think the more people you talk to and ask about things, I think the better. Always never be afraid to ask advice of someone or people's opinions and what
you're
you should
not
do.
weak, are you, if you ask for help? It's just
and also be strong enough to say, actually, I don't think that's the right opinion. What you're doing is different for me. So there's lots of people out there that have lost someone, and you think, God, you need help.
Been amazing, to be fair.
Yeah,
what a podcast to kick back on with.
So I've talked loads.
That's what, mate. That's what we want. We want to get as much information out there as possible. Do you know what I mean? Anyone listening can take something from this, 100%. Do you know what I mean?
So my thing on is, if anyone, I'm not I'm not a celebrity, but if anyone wants to reach out and who's heard this, who's suffering, or just reach out, drop me a message on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll push your socials and everything, mate.
I think the more people can help each other, I think it's so much easier.
Yeah,
to get through
yeah.
stuff.
Even if they listen to this and just listen to your little snippets of it of how you're
Advice,
dealing
have a look
with
at your
it.
charity. Yeah, mate, you're offering a lot, which is amazing, mate. Really good. Hats
Doing
off
what we
to
can.
you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. No, thanks for boys having with me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
No, I've really enjoyed it, mate. Yeah, no, lovely. All right, cheers. Thank you very much, mate.